the last article that we got talking that we're going to be talking about is going to be should Microsoft investors fret over Azure's? I always stop when I say it because I want to say Azure's.
When I'm gonna keep saying Azure, man. Ain't gonna change what I
say. Will they keep fighting over? Will they fret over Azure's slowing growth? The subhead reads that Microsoft's cloud infrastructure platform generated 50% sales growth during the first quarter or during the quarter, but that growth didn't satisfy some investors. Basically, this is just really trying to figure out where do they think that Microsoft is going to be going over the next couple of years with the Azure cloud. Microsoft was probably the last company to come into the cloud game. Amazon AWS was the first that everybody know about. Google Cloud, I want to say, was second, but they also have like Alibaba, which is like a cloud in China that a lot of people use in China. It's like one of the most dominant next to AWS. But then after that was Microsoft Azure, and Azure picked up pretty quickly because Azure already had the market share. Microsoft already had the market share. A lot of people already have Microsoft on-premise servers. They're running Windows Server 2012, 2016, 2020. I don't even know if it's 2020 out, but they're running all these. They already been running Windows servers since Windows servers came out back in Windows 2000. So like they've been running servers already for 20 years. They just never had Microsoft actually selling them the servers themselves and like the physical machines themselves. And now that they are in the actual game of selling them the actual machines and running data centers, the clients that already used to run Windows Server immediately jumped onto Microsoft Azure because it was an easy step. It was an easy transition. They didn't have to learn anything new because Microsoft knew everything that they already needed to know. So it was an easy transition for them. So Microsoft became like the second place runner. It was like AWS and then Microsoft and then Google as third place. Yeah, Google is third place basically, even though they were like the second to come up. They've technically maintained the third place position. But that's neither here nor there. Like if you running these things, being first, second, and third, you definitely gonna always be jumping back and forth between first, second, and third if it's a consistent race. The race isn't over. So I mean, they're gonna be running back and forth. What do you think about it, Mike?
I think that for just going off of people being afraid about the growth, like you said, they are already in a position where they have a lot of staying power. Like where a lot of companies, especially trying to get into a new industry, struggle is trying to get out of scarcity, right? Just a little bit of business logic and stuff like that. But the fact that Microsoft, like you said, already had the market share, it's like rather than trying to create the branding and do all this stuff, like they just had to come up with something and then offer that service, and then it became a thing. So I know with the numbers, I know they say men lie, women lie, numbers don't, right? And of course it shows on here the projection and like what the numbers are right now. I think it says down here as far as the Azure revenue is down to just 50% in Q4 for 2020. That all that just sounds like is if they do a couple of advertising and then a couple of deals, it'll be right back up to where it's supposed to be. It's not like it went from 61% to 15%. Then I think when it's a drop like that, investors have a little bit. Some people who are aggressive and maybe are involved in the development of these companies will still look at a drop like that as not a big deal or something they can recover from. But I think then it'll be like a red flag sent them. But just that, like you said, the switching back and forth between first, second, and third. I mean, it's not really anything to get your panties in a bunch about for the investors. I'm not an investor, not at that level yet. But it's not like they went from the second place to the 20th place. Mm-hmm. It's not even. I think for all the people that's in this industry that's really have a footprint in the industry, they are. It's not too many people there. I mean, you have Amazon, you have AWS. I know Netflix got a little something going on. Google, Microsoft, and I think I'm missing somebody. But other than that, that's pretty much who's in the run. Like that's the top 5, top 6, whoever the person that company I forgot about. So, I mean, as long as again,
Alibaba.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like I said, I keep throwing it in there, but they're technically a Chinese organized. They're a Chinese company. A lot of people in America probably aren't buying their cloud services from Alibaba, but yeah, technically they are they're one of the tops. I know.
They have the world market share, so I get it.
yeah, the world market share. Like for the investors, man, they probably they always, they deal stuff day to day, and they buying and selling within the same day, within the same hour. 1 hour they buying, 1 hour they selling once they hear some news and stuff like that. And a lot of their stuff is based on rumors and, trying to find the info about what one executive say to another that could potentially trickle down to $1 million, $1 billion deal. And that's basically where they gamble all their bets. It's basically like gambling where they got to listen to the news to find out what's going to happen. Now they trying to talk to the insiders to find out what's happening. And I mean, if it's not a good investment, if your investment is based on one of 3 companies, and if one of those 3 are going to lose, then you end up losing millions of dollars. That's not a good investment for you to be in it anyway. If you're that scared about your investment with this company where it could die, where you feel like one wrong mistake and the whole thing is over, then that's probably not a good investment to be in anyway. You need to be in an investment somewhere. Go to penny stocks or something. I don't know. watch the Wolf of Wall Street or something. If you don't understand that you need to make some solid investment, especially if you like one of those mutual funds or something like that, where you got groups of other people's money and you're investing for a large percentage of people, you need to invest in safe stock. And if you don't feel like Microsoft is a safe stock, then you need to probably invest in something that's not in tech, because that's just what the business that it is. And you're not investing in a short turnover. You're investing in a long-term, 10-year, 20-year play. And I don't see Azure dying out anytime soon because Microsoft hasn't died out any yet. Even though as many years as people have been trying to get people to use Linux, Microsoft has still been one of the top servers. When it comes to web services, maybe Linux is great in the web service space, but in the overall office infrastructure, a lot of these IT people need lists and user interfaces, and they need Active Directory, and they need Outlook, and I don't know how many times I've tried to transition somebody to G Suite and they will not connect. Yeah, I mean, Microsoft has a lock on people because they've had a lock on people for a good, the article says that they've been around for 45 years. For 45 years, they've had dominance to be able to claim their stakeholders. So people aren't just going to jump off the ship. So if you're an investor and you think and you're scared and you got to pull out quick because you think Microsoft is going to jump, you just don't need to be in the business of investing because Microsoft has been around for 45 years. They probably going to be around for another 45 years.
For how much the industry has changed within technology, like you said. So computing, digital computing, I guess has been around concretely for maybe we'll be in 2020 for. You could say 70 years, right? Maybe 1950.
Well, the digital, since the transistor. So sometime in the 60s. Once they created the microprocessor, then we started having these computers.
Right. So soon after that, you got to think for people who are investing and of course they may have all the investing info and probably a school meal and some things, but just looking at it, we're just using common sense here is that Microsoft has pretty much been around as long as digital computing has been around. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So any type of footprint they have within the industry, it's solidified that they're pretty much a part of society now. It's not even, they're not some company that's came up and I guess that's the difference between a Microsoft and a Google or Microsoft and all these other companies who become billion-dollar companies, but it's Microsoft has staying power, be it that again it goes back to the accessibility, the providing like accessibility and stuff like that to different things. And like what you're just saying, like what you're saying here, you don't really hear the functionality of being able to have a general login and password throughout all of the technology, all of the apps and places you have to log in. Like you don't hear that from other companies except for when you're using like Microsoft technology. So, and how that translates to what's going on here with Azure. I'm not saying what you said, Mike. Let's transition to Azure. It just makes it like for them to look at it as somewhat of a negative thing that it's that the revenue has dropped, or that, like you said, the sales is down to like 50%. You got to understand, one, the technology is volatile like that, but although technology being a volatile industry, that this company has had a lot of staying power in an industry that's as volatile as this. So if I was an investor, I would still, it wouldn't change anything for me. My money would still be where it's going to be at, because Microsoft is not going anywhere. Again, they've already had they probably have some other market share that they haven't tapped into, that, would come time Christmas or whatever is going on. If you want to make it more consumer driven, they can just tap into that and it'll be right back up.
I mean, they about to get in the social media business apparently. So, I mean, you never know with these companies, man. I mean, like, it's just craziness that they do that. But that's the nature of the investment industry. A lot of them just playing the short game, and a lot of them are playing a good couple are playing long-term investments. And I mean, if you're trying to play the short game and just be in and out, try to make a quick turnaround and then hop out and then jump into the next game on the other side, then I mean, yeah, you probably should just hop out, because that's just what you're going to do anyway. Like, that's just your business. You just hop in and out of shit. But if you understand the business, it's going to be a long-term investment before you ever actually see a real negative decline. Like you'll notice when Microsoft is starting to go down. And that ain't happening yet. They on the top. They on the rise right now. They still one of the top.
I still feel like they part of the big three for this decade, man. Is Microsoft, Google, and Apple. Yeah. I mean, I know Amazon's somewhat in there, but I mean, they started off as they like the online Walmart per se. When we're talking about tech stuff, is Microsoft, Google, and Apple, and it's like they ain't going to be going away for the next 20 years.
And the bigger thing, like I was just thinking, like Microsoft sells all this stuff. Like one of the issues with Google and Facebook is that most of their money is off of advertisements. They get their money off of advertisements, and that means that it's coming from them collecting data. Microsoft can make money without having to collect our data. They've been able to make money off of just selling a product and not having to worry about collecting data. Now, if they add on collecting data, that'll be a thing. They haven't been as successful with it, so it never really been a thing for them. They've been able to make money off of just coming up with a product or coming up with a service and selling that service without having to say, we're gonna make it free and we're gonna make our money off of ads. And depending on how well the ad business does, that's how profitable we are. You can see a definitive line and be like, somebody bought this thing from me.
Right.
And that's how I make my money, and that's why they stay solid.